This is the Wealth Junkie Show. Brought to you by CEO Capital Partners, Brendan Dukeman and Will Harvey. Your hosts deliver the daily fix you're looking for with exciting wealth building secrets and strategies for what's working today. Listen to real life stories straight from the mouths of some of the hottest, most successful entrepreneurs and financial freedom seekers to fuel your success addiction.
This is the Daily Wealth Junkie Show. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Brandon Dukeman here with Will Harvey. Be sure to join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/wealthjunkies and to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Will and go ahead and introduce our guest for today.
Yeah, today we're talking to, thanks Brandon for the intro. Today we're talking to Jeremy Porto. So I'll give a quick background on him and we'll let him elaborate on it. He did 10 years in the Air Force. After that, he started flipping and graduated up to buying fourplexes and some smaller apartment buildings. And recently he's gotten started getting involved with larger apartment syndications. So with that, Jeremy, we'd love for you to get into your background and just tell listeners how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, certainly. I was talking to someone the other day and realized that a lot of my real estate career has been defined by injury because I was in the Air Force. I was in pilot training in 2008 and I was playing soccer and I tore my Achilles tendon. So I had about 6 months to sit on the sideline and heal. And during that time, I went to the library and grabbed, all the books I could on real estate. That's really what got me started in real estate in general.
Nice.
But everything I was reading at that point was flipping and single family rentals. And I wish I had picked up a book on multifamily or had some kind of resource at that point. I wish I would have jumped straight to multifamily. About the closest I got was a book by Larry Loftus called, I think it's like Investing in Duplexes, Triplexes, and Quads. And man, I wish I really liked that book. I wish I had just taken it a step further. Then, fast forward 9-10 years, whatever, I was deployed and wound up hurting my back when I was flying. To the point where I had to get surgery and wound up getting bumped out of the Air Force for that injury.
Wow.
Up to that point, I had been at that point flipping and buying single families, and I had, I think, a duplex. I think I might have had a fourplex as well at that point. And so when I got let go of the Air Force, I started doing flipping in single family and small multifamily rentals full time. It was like 2015. So I did that for a couple of years. Amassed a number of fourplexes. I do still really like them. They're small. They don't quite have the scale that big stuff has, but at the same time, it's easy. It's really easy. And I think there's a little bit more disconnect on how to value fourplexes. And so you can kind of play it to your advantage, buy it either on a comp method or an income method, whichever is to your favor, assuming you can. Yeah. And then when you turn around and sell it or whatever, then, sell it on either the income or the comp method, whichever, again, is to your favor.
Whatever the highest is. That's awesome.
And that's the thing. I mean, you try to buy or sell a big multifamily property, everybody's looking at it on an income basis. Right. And, prices vary, but they're within a range. I've seen fourplexes that have been bought for 150 and sold for 450 like a year or two later. And I think it's just how people are evaluating them.
Right. So Jeremy, you mentioned that, you wish now that you would have dove right into the multifamily world. What made you make that realization, and why do you think the multifamily is better than the fix and flips that you spend a lot of your time on and a lot of people spend their time on?
Yeah, there's a guy that I know you guys know, Adam A. Adams, AAA. I asked him that because when I was living in Colorado for a while and I was heavy into the fourplexes and I saw a lot of his stuff on multifamily, I set up a call with him. I was like, look, I don't get it. I can do, why would I own, a very small piece of 100 units, or I can own the whole thing of 4 units. And he kind of showed me like the scale that makes the returns that much better. And as a syndicator, the ability to, when you run out of money, to potentially get into deals with very little of your own money. There's thoughts on skin in the game and all that, but it gives you more options, more scalability, better returns, easier probably when it comes to the management side of things. It was that conversation that was about maybe 2.5 years ago. And from there, I kind of saw the light and headed that direction. And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since.
That's cool. So I want to go back even before that and kind of unpack it a little bit. So what you're in the military and is that what you got into right out of college?
Yep. Did ROTC, and they give you a job right away as a second lieutenant. And
Okay.
man, you're bringing me back. I remember seeing my paycheck of $1,500 per every 2 weeks. I think that's about right. It might have been even less, $1,200, something like that. And that was amazing to me to see that out, right? And so that actually, unfortunately, was a little bit of something that kind of held me back because, well, look at all this money I'm making, whereas I used to do nothing before, as a college student or whatever. I wish that, I wasn't paid, quote, so well, maybe had a little more drive to do something there. Cause I sat around, I think, mentally, if you will, and not really thinking about the future and investing or anything like that. I was just content with, an Air Force career and thinking about what 20 years would look like. So, it's easy to do that when you're young because you make that big jump from high school to college, making no money to suddenly you're making money.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's similar to what happened to me too. I got hired at 20 years old and started making, $1,500 paychecks every other week. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And I could see each year how much money I was going to make. So, well, why do anything different when you know how much you're going to make each year? So I know that mindset, but eventually it breaks and you see the light, like you said.
So Jeremy, what made you break that mindset and realize that there's got to be something more to, working 20 years and getting a pension and just riding off into the sunset? What made you realize that there was something bigger out there for you to do?
Yeah, it was my right Achilles tendon. Because when I tore it, that's when I actually had the minute to sit down and think about stuff. I mean, at that point, I was in the middle of pilot training. It's one of the most challenging things I've done. It's a full year of intense studying and flying, waking up at all hours in the morning and stuff. And so when I hurt myself and had to go rest and recover, I had time to mentally sit down and think about it and start reading the books and think about it and go, wow, this kind of money is, it's nice. It seems good right now. But when I'm 60 and all I have is, a pension, assuming I make it to 20, that actually is not very much. And, there's got to be a way to make this better. And thinking of outside of just myself and like, what do I want to pass on to my kids? I got 2 boys right now. And just having that minute to think about it really, really kind of changed me. And thank God I did, because it made me start thinking about it and at least set me up to go in a direction.
Right.
So when that happened, did you already have a prior interest in real estate, or did someone mention real estate to you for, creating wealth, or how did that real estate get ingrained in your head?
I think that at that point it was just, there were some TV shows on, like I liked woodworking actually, and just kind of small fix-it stuff, and Home Time and This Old House and those kinds of shows was stuff I was watching. So it was more from a renovation perspective that I liked real estate. And then, the natural step to make money off that is flipping. So that's kind of what, got me to go get those books from the library.
Okay.
Awesome.
Got it. So basically people need to go tear their Achilles tendon, and that'll get them on the track to owning real estate and acquiring wealth.
That is one way to do it. Yes. I'm sure there are better ways, but that's one way.
That's funny. Well, tell us about the very first deal that you did, your very first flip. How did you find it? I just want to hear about that. How'd you get the money?
When I think back on that one, I'm actually really proud of myself on that one. That was a duplex that I flipped. It had Chinese drywall. And so it was bank owned, and the bank had torn everything out. It was a shell on the inside.
Chinese drywall, that's like the real crumbly, it's very bad quality, right? Is that
so? Don't take this as fact. I'm fairly certain this is true, but I'll give you my understanding of what it is.
Okay.
In early 2000s, we had what was that big hurricane in 2004 that hit New Orleans?
Katrina.
Yeah. And I think there was another couple around there. So there was a real need for building supplies, and we started importing a lot of drywall from China. And this is the part that I'm not as sure on. Something to do with their manufacturing process, maybe combine that with the humidity and heat in the south of America. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but they installed those stuff, and it was basically leaching sulfurous compounds, I think, headaches and stuff like that. And so the only remedy was to just rip it all out.
Got it.
It's everything is on top of that. You paint your lights, cabinets, all that stuff, right? So when I bought this, it was a shell on the inside. All I saw was studs, and even a lot of the electrical and plumbing and stuff had been kind of ripped out in the process of removing everything. I mean, it also affects like copper plumbing and the copper in your AC system. So that was the first one I bought. It was man, I almost remember these numbers. I want to say it was like listed for 100,000. It was probably, all said and done, probably worth like 160, 170, 180, somewhere in there. And I got them down to 88, which I'm like, I think it was just a sign of the times that people weren't, it was 2014, I think, maybe 13. And the bank, like we went back and forth for a long time. This was not a fast process. Finally got it to like 88,000. And obviously I'm paying cash for this. My father-in-law, I convinced him to let me use a home equity line of credit that he had.
Nice.
I am blessed there for sure.
I love the creativity and how people get into their first deals. That's cool.
Had that not been available to me though, I would have found some kind of hard money lending, I think. And I think it would have been a perfect match.
So how did you position that you said that was your father-in-law?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So how did you position it to your father-in-law to be like, hey, this is an opportunity. Here are the numbers. How did you set that up?
Yeah. I mean, whenever you're trying to influence someone or convince someone of something, I'm a firm believer of, how can I make this appear good for what they want? Right. Not just, hey, this is good for me. Like, you should help me out. Like, why is this good for him? And it was kind of two routes. It was one, look, I'll pay you a return on your money. So you're investing and getting, some kind of return. I mean, that's the obvious one. Yeah. This one was a little bit of a stretch, but I'm married to your daughter and you want her to and have a successible husband. You don't want her to have a deadbeat husband. So.
That's smart.
Play the emotions there.
Yeah, exactly. I think he had a bit of trust in me. I mean, already. And so that obviously helped, but yeah, it was definitely kind of showing him what was in it for him.
So what did you, if you don't mind me asking, what did you pay him on his money and how'd that work?
He was super generous as far as like terms. So basically he gave me the money and I didn't pay him anything until I closed on the sale. And that was about 6-7 months later.
Okay.
And maybe not that far, but, and I think we did it was low. It was really low. It was like 5% on his money or something.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So it's a bit of a favor in there.
Awesome
too.
For you, I mean.
Yeah. So no, it's not like he made a ton of money, but he was also somewhat new to real estate investing. He had done a tiny bit himself with partnerships. And
did the deal go well? Did it pan out and make money and set you up for your next deal?
Yep. Yeah. I think I made 50 or 60,000 on that one.
Nice.
Net. And that was awesome. And that was a great start. And I was like, man, if I could do just 2 of these a year, I'll be set.
Yeah, right.
Maybe wrong mindset, but that's what I was thinking at the time, when I go bigger, but obviously that not all my flips after that were 50 or 60,000, but yeah, I fixed it up, got tenants in there. It was awesome because in that time, rents had gone up a little bit and I was anticipating like 750, 800. I think I wound up with tenants at 900 on both sides.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then when I turned around and sold it, I look back now, I'm like, I wonder if I should have kept that, but I think it was good to have the capital, my own capital to be able to do it. And so I don't know.
Just to allow you to grow quicker and buy other deals. And yeah, I got you.
At that point, my mind was on flipping. And so, having the money to not have to borrow from somebody, was nice.
Yeah.
No, and then you transitioned at some point into, finding a multifamily deal. Can you talk to us, kind of about how you found the deal, what got you into that deal and basically size of it, but, kind of run us through that one too.
Yeah. That first small multifamily was a duplex. And in the area that I was, there is not a lot of small multifamily. There's I literally have scoured the entire county and my guess would be like, there's maybe 20 to 30 small multifamily buildings, duplexes, fourplexes, that kind of stuff. And so anyways, I found this one. This was actually also a bank owned Fannie Mae deal.
How are you finding these bank-owned properties?
I don't know. I haven't gone on this site in a long time, but homepath.com was a site where Fannie Mae would advertise deals that they had acquired. They were bank-owned properties that they were then selling, and it had special things like if you were going to own or occupy, you could get it for I want to say 3% down. And if you were going to, if it was an investor, this was really interesting. You could put 10% down.
Oh, nice.
I don't know that that's around anymore, to be honest. Yeah. I don't know if that's around anymore, but
yeah, they got rid of it. It's
okay.
In the lending world, they, my past life, I know that they got rid of that and replaced it with something. But yeah, that was real prominent after the crash when Fannie and Freddie were taking back a bunch of properties.
Yep.
So okay, awesome. So that's how you found that one.
Yeah, and that's surprising. I mean, when I look back now with what I know, like finding stuff on market like that, there's wasn't much competition, which is not the way it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Again, I wish that it wasn't that way, because it would have kind of forced me to get to that realization of I need to go make my own deals, make my own money. Don't let it just sit and come to me. And that's what I was doing. And so there was a period of time a couple years later when it did start getting harder that I was having challenges, and I started resorting to finding my own stuff without just waiting for the market to provide it. But
nice.
Yeah, at the time I could do that.
So that you found that deal and you realized right off the bat, you were like, I want to try holding this.
Yep.
And okay. And that was your first one that you had the mindset of holding, and how did it go? Did you ever sell it? Do you still have it?
Yeah, no, that was the beginning of a 1031 chain. Actually, that was the shorter chain. I have two chains. One was longer, but this one, I held it for, I think it was 3 years.
What's it? Can you explain just real high level what a 1031 exchange is?
Yep. The IRS has a provision that allows you to, I think now it's just real estate with the new tax law, but you can sell a piece of real estate and take that money and roll it directly into the purchase of a new property, and any capital gains that you had, the taxes you would pay are deferred until you ultimately sell that one. But you could also just 1031 indefinitely as well.
Right.
But it's just deferring taxes.
So essentially, you start off with a single family home, you make the profit off of that, roll that profit into, let's say, a duplex, flip that duplex, sell that duplex, roll that property into, let's say, a 10 unit. And essentially you can just keep going up and up and up for there, tax free, until you decide, hey, I'm done with this. Is that awesome?
Yep. And my ultimate goal, I joke about this, my ultimate tax strategy is to die. Because if I just 1031 and never pay the taxes, the stepped up basis when it gets passed on to my heirs, and then I don't pay any of that tax, or my kids won't, I don't care.
Yeah. Guys, this is why real estate is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plenty of tax benefits.
Yeah.
So I 1031 that duplex 2 units into 8 units. I had,
nice.
These actually came to be off market. But these literally came to me off market. I was renovating a 4-plex, and a guy that owned 2 of them in that same development said, hey, I want to sell. Are you interested? And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I said yes.
Nice.
And so again, this is a sign of the times. I got him to agree to like a 2.5 month close. He agreed to make the contract contingent on the sale of my duplex. And then I marketed the duplex, got it sold as fast as I could, and rolled that money into it. So I went from 2 units into 8.
That's awesome.
Those are some of my best properties right now. I still have those 4 plexes.
Okay, so you still have those.
Yeah.
And how many units total do you have?
Now, personally, a little over 50.
50.
I don't know where I'm at exactly right now, but a little over 50.
And that's with it. You said you really got into multifamily about 2 years ago. Is that correct?
I got into the bigger multifamily syndication stuff. Yeah, this small stuff, the 50 units probably starting 2013, I would say.
Okay.
So tell me how you're getting the debt on your property, because conventional loans, first off, they'll only go up to 4 units, but also you're capped at 10 loans out at one time, 10 financed properties. So what are you doing? It sounds like you have more than 10 properties. So how are you doing that?
Yep. So I got married, and so
there you go.
We put them in each other's names only, and it's great because when you tag team, like say me and my wife get on the loan for a property, that's terrible because now that debt counts twice. It counts against me when I try to get a loan, it counts against her. Whereas if I get a property in my name, that debt only counts against me. So I have a debt to income ratio, and she has one too, and we're only counting that debt once. So all our properties are split between my name only and her name only. And that's been really helpful. I'd say, that's not always, you're not going to go get married just to do that. So the other thing I would say is,
I want to go find a wife now.
Yes. But you can, the 1031, I think actually helps because if you buy your single family and, okay, well, I want to buy something else. Okay. You can't necessarily, instead of necessarily buying more properties, buy a bigger property, a duplex, a fourplex. And so you can take that money and get bigger, but yet still only have 10 properties.
Got it. Yep.
Right. So 1031 is also valuable for that.
Yeah.
And similarly, as you mentioned, owning the bigger units is probably easier than it is to own, several single units. Because let's say you own 100 unit property, that's one property in itself versus owning 100 single family homes. I mean, the chances of you being able to purchase 100 single family homes is near impossible. Not impossible, but the work involved with that is
challenging,
extreme versus tackling 100 unit deal.
Certainly. In the way I like to think about it, if I keep the number small here, to get everybody's mind to get wrapped around it, if you just look at 1 and 4 units, so my typical fourplex is about 3,000 square feet, plus or minus, about 750 a unit, right? If you found, so 4 units with 3,000 square feet, if you found a single family home with 3,000 square feet, so roughly the buildings are the same, amount of drywall, roofs, all that kind of stuff. It is slight differences. There's no way you'll ever get the same amount of rent out of that single family 3,000 square foot home as you would out of a 4 unit building. And so, you pay, similar in costs and maintenance and all that, but yet you get a lot more rent out of multiple units. And then, take that up from 4 to 8 and 8 to 16 and so on.
That's right.
Just a way to think about that.
That's right. So tell you're working on a syndication now. Can you explain what a syndication is and just the one that you're working on?
Yeah. So a syndication, the word itself literally just means a pooling of, it could be finances, it could be expertise, knowledge, whatever. And so in the context of a real estate syndication, if you consider a 100, let's say like a 100 unit complex, say it's $5 million. I don't have $1 million for a down payment or anywhere close to that to just drop into it. And so what I can do is I can pool investor money. I can also pool investor knowledge. If I don't have the knowledge or the experience, I can bring in somebody that's maybe knowledgeable in this arena, and together we can buy this. They can be the money. Me and this other guy can be the experience in the management. And we can buy something that's much bigger. The scale's bigger, so you make better returns, and so on. So, got started in syndication the last couple of years in various different ways. There's a lot of ways to be involved in it, aside from just being the lead syndicator, the deal sponsor. That's kind of been my focus lately.
Very cool. So, I mean, it sounds like you're kind of creating a team to purchase these properties.
Most definitely. It's all about the partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
Whether the team is literally like my company is Blue Ridge Investment Partners, whether it's literally I have people that are in Blue Ridge Investment Partners, or my company could partner with somebody else's company. I view that as team as well. But yeah, there's no way, just me is going to handle any of this on my own. It's always bringing people in to have the expertise in the area that you don't.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So what are some of the ways that you've gotten involved in syndications in the past?
Yeah, the most recent, I've been raising capital on a deal. And so basically, on that $5 million deal, and say you need $1 million, $1.5 million, you go around and raise money from limited partners, investors that just provide money and don't do any of the work. Now there's a lot of drama going on right now about capital raisers. Yeah. And so I've got to throw something out there that says, make sure you're talking to your SEC attorney and making sure you're doing it correctly, because there's a lot. It's not as simple as just I raise money, from people, give it to this guy, and then, that's not how it works. So, read up on that, talk to your SEC attorney, make sure you're doing it the correct way. But that's the latest thing I've been involved in. And for that, obviously that's valuable, that there's value in bringing money. For that, I'm compensated. And again, talk to your SEC attorney.
Right. Those are the very basic terms of, how he's involved.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot more to it than just that. Another way that I've been involved is bringing risk capital. So, as a syndication company, you're taking down a deal. You don't own it yet. You're in due diligence, or that's the process where you inspect the property, inspect all the paperwork, and make sure that everything looks the way it was advertised to you, and that it truly is a good investment. So during that due diligence period, there's costs involved. You got to pay the guys to do the inspections. Lenders have fees. There's 3 different kinds of, inspections that you can do. I said 3, I meant like 30 different kinds.
Yeah, right.
So that takes capital, and you're not going to raise that from somebody because the deal doesn't exist yet. So this is a capital that is at risk of being lost. You spend that money, whether you buy that property or not, it's gone. So I provided risk capital, and in return, if that deal closes, then I'll be a part of the general partnership as well. So that's another way I've been involved.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. So basically, what I'm hearing, if I'm someone just getting started, don't have a ton of capital, don't have a ton of knowledge or experience, I can figure out a way to get into a deal and get a deal done by bringing in partners, like you did on your first flip. You brought in the capital. Your father-in-law, he had something you didn't have, and you had something that he didn't have, which was the deal. So you guys essentially syndicated that in a sense, and got it done. So that's kind of what I'm hearing. That's my takeaway, and that's pretty cool that you can get involved in a litany of different ways.
Yeah. So, if I could take that thought one step further, before we hit record, we were all talking about networks and the value of having a network. I think the most important thing you could do as somebody that's young, that doesn't necessarily know the direction they're going to go. They like business. They like the idea of being an entrepreneur. If you're not sure what you're doing, it cannot hurt, and it can help you in whatever you do. Is start building and start nurturing your network, and bring those guys in. Everybody has a network. It's just how big is it? Everybody's got families. They got friends. They've got dentists. Those are all people that are in your network. So nurture them. Tell them what you're doing or what you want to do. I'd say I'd go so far as to say get your CRM, your what does it even stand for? Client resource management.
Yeah, client resource management, something like that. Yeah,
it means something different in the Air
Everybody
Force.
says it, but nobody knows what it means.
It means something different in the Air Force. So
it's a database.
Confused. Yeah. So it's the way in which you track your network. When's the last time I talked to this guy or gal? What did we talk about? Do they have interest? So, if I could give one piece of advice to somebody that's young and interested in business and entrepreneurial, ventures, get your network going, get your CRM, get your database going.
So what are some of the things that you're doing to grow your network, and what are some things that others can do to, grow their network outside of what their existing network is?
Yeah. Right now I'm on a podcast with you guys, getting my name out there, and hopefully somebody listens to this and it resonates with them, and they say, you know what, I should email or call that guy and see if we can, help each other, or at least get to know me, or, I'm very happy to talk with anybody. I go to meetups, not as much as I'd like to, but I do. And then, just anytime, the conversation comes up, I talk about with anybody what it is that I do. So, there's tons of ways to grow. What you guys are doing, you guys are growing your network by doing the podcast. You're getting to talk to somebody like me and the next guy and the next guy and anybody else that's listening that goes, Brandon and Will, these guys are smart. You are smart, but now people know it because you're out there in on the web. So, all these are all different ways that you can grow that network.
Yep, that's right. I'm sure we've all heard of it. The what is it? Your net worth is your network. That's
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's the saying.
Absolutely. And so there's a book that I actually just finished. It's called Tribe of Millionaires, and it's really focused on the group of people that you surround yourself with to basically excel you in your business. And it's a really unique book. It's kind of fictional in the story part of it, but the group itself is a real group. And basically it's a pretty awesome book. I thought it was great. My dad recommended it to me. So it's called Tribe of Millionaires. So if you're looking to check that out, it's a really awesome book.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
That's awesome.
So, all right, Jeremy. Well, I think we're going to transition into our moments of truth section here. We have the same 7 questions that we ask all our guests. They're not pretty personal questions, but they're, you should know the answers to them. They're all about you. So we'll dive right in here. Jeremy, who is your success role model?
Oh man. There's I don't know that I could point to just one, but there's some people in this business, and honestly, what makes me appreciate what they do is their willingness to give back. But yeah, I mentioned his name already. Adam Adams is probably one of those guys. That guy is so focused on helping people, and in return, he gets so much for it. But that's not his focus. His focus is helping others. I have to throw his name out there.
Yeah, he's great.
There are some people that nobody will know, but in the Air Force, that kind of mentored me and brought me along. Not just showing me here's what to do, but giving me I think it's important to have guiding principles, or guiding overarching kind of thoughts. And one of those would be do things for people. It's said in a real estate context that you hear all the time: provide value, give people something, and in return they're going to want to give it back to you. And you're not doing it for that return. You're doing it because you're a good human being. But I think that's pretty valuable. So yeah, Adam, and then people that nobody's going to know in the Air Force.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. What's Jeremy? What's your biggest success thus far?
Ooh. I don't know that it's not necessarily the biggest in the sense of money or accomplishment. But when I found those 2 fourplexes off market, it was the biggest success in the sense that it opened my eyes that, that guy walked up to me and it was off market. But if I go out and start, doing my own, finding my own deals, finding my own money, instead of just waiting for things to come to me, I go and get them. That was a huge turning point in my real estate business, entrepreneurial ventures. That was a huge turning point. And so I think I would call that my biggest success, realizing that.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I'm sure that opened your eyes a little bit for you. Start taking a little bit more action, and more will start coming your way.
Definitely.
So what's a typical day for you look like?
Well, I've been working hard on putting limits on my work, because I think all of us would, tend to work, from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed.
That's right.
And there was a period of time where I was doing it and it wasn't healthy for my personal life. And so I've started to really kind of draw limits. So, I wake up, I take my youngest kid to daycare, come back and get started. It's a lot of just interacting with people, catching up with what they're doing, what I can help them with. So that's the nurture part of the network. There's always some piece of real estate analysis involved, some kind of underwriting at a deal that I'm looking at. There's always some kind of management going on, asset management. So I've got properties and things are happening. And so making those long-term strategic decisions. I just got an email, about a sewer backup, and okay, is this something that we just, scrape the sewer and move on? Or do we send a camera down there and see what the main problem is here, and then spend a $10,000-$20,000, repair to correct it for the future? So there's always some kind of management piece to that. And then somewhere in the middle of the day, I'll usually have some kind of go to Wegmans and get some food to cook dinner, some kind of personal thing. I like to break everything up a little bit. I hate just sitting down and just, nonstop on something.
Right.
And then after that, I pick up the kid around 5 o'clock, make dinner, and then that's my time with my family. My kids are hanging out in the kitchen while I cook, and then get my wife to relax and then have dinner.
Yeah, I love it.
Sounds like a great day.
What's your favorite quote?
I'm not going to say it because it's a little bit longer, but it's that one by I think it's Theodore Roosevelt about the man in the arena. And look it up. It's certainly worth reading, but it's about give the credit to the guy that's actually doing the work, and not the people that are outside talking about it and the critics. The guy that spends the time getting bloody and doing everything that's hard and actually doing it, that's the guy that deserves the credit. Look that up. I think if you say the man in the arena, just Google the man in the arena, Roosevelt, I think it'll come up.
That's really good. There's, not to go on a tangent here, but I'm going to go on a tangent here. So very similar to that. I remember before, I think it was the Super Bowl where the Seahawks played the Patriots, where they had the interception at the end, and the Patriots.
I hate the Patriots
but,
so much.
Yeah, a lot of people do. But no, so before that, for the media day, or you know what? I think it was the year before when the Seahawks beat the Broncos, but it was Marshawn Lynch, and he got famous because he was doing those interviews and would basically not say anything, and it would it would drive the media nuts. It drove everyone nuts, and he finally did an interview with Deion Sanders, and Deion was asking him, hey, why do you not give the media answers? Why do you? And he said I'm about that action. So he was like, I don't, talking never wins games. It never gets anything done. I'm about that action. So I don't want to talk. I want to just let my talking happen when I'm on the field. So nice. I think that's exactly what you're saying there. And I love that. Action is everything. You see those people that go to meetups and meetings and all that stuff, and they're just always in a learning mode, and they never take action. Eventually you have to just go. You're never going to be fully prepared for anything. So
Yep, I'm with you.
So Jeremy, what are some of your hobbies outside of real estate?
I like to read and cook, I would say. And then shoot, with all the injuries that I've had, it's been a challenge for me to get into sports lately. But recently I picked up playing soccer again, and that has been absolutely amazing. I get so much out of that. With the injuries, I had a long break where I wasn't playing, so it's been great. So I just recently moved back to Northern Virginia, which is where all my family is, and so I'm playing in a co-ed league with both my sisters, which is even more fun.
Nice,
awesome. Get very involved. Very cool.
That is cool. What's the best business book that you've read?
Ooh, I'm gonna take. It's not quite business, but I think it's definitely in that vein. Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein, Nudge is the name of the book.
Nudge, okay.
And it's basically about choice architecture and the way you frame options so that people can, kind of influence them to choose what you want them to choose based on the way you frame the choice. And I like that, and I call that a business book because we are in the business of influencing people, leadership, and anything that has to do with human biases. I believe 100% that's about business, and so I would say that I don't hear that often quoted. I hate to be unoriginal, so I'll try to be original with that one. Nudge is the name of the book.
Nudge, that's
awesome.
That's great.
To check that one out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Jeremy, last question here. If there's one key piece of advice you could leave our listeners with about achieving success, what do you think it would be?
Yeah, I gotta harp back on the last thing I said about networks. Start that early, because you don't know, how valuable your network is going to be to you in the future. Even if you don't know what you're doing, your network will be valuable to you in the future at some point. And so start that earlier, because I just started, how many years ago, and I wish my network was bigger. Get it started soon so that it's bigger when you're ready to move.
That's great.
Great advice.
Yep. Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
All right, Jeremy, what are some of the wants and needs for your business now? What are you looking for?
Yeah, as we wrap up here.
Certainly. I'm looking to just chat with people that want to get started in this being real estate, that, are interested in real estate syndication. You're probably going to ask this, so I'll jump right to it. You can get through my website is www.blueridgeinvestmentpartners.com. That's just the name of my company. It's long, but it's easy to remember. And just look on the contact me page. You'll find my email there. You can reach out to me.
Awesome. That's great.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, Jeremy. We really appreciate it. That was a ton of value. I'll let Brandon close us out.
Yeah, Jeremy, we appreciate your time. Thanks for talking to us a little bit about multifamily and getting everybody in the understanding of what multifamily is. But be sure to follow us on Facebook. Again, the Facebook group is facebook.com/groups/wealth-junkies. And don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a comment and let us know how we're doing. Again, Jeremy, thanks for joining us today. And everybody, we'll see you for tomorrow's show.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.